Hi, I'm Terry Quillian, and welcome to this week's edition of the Starting Lineup. And wow, what a week it has been. Last Friday on January 2nd, the transfer portal opened, and boom, on the first day of the portal opening, we had 3,500 players in the portal. Holy cow. That, combined with NIL, has created a situation that Nick Saban describes as pure chaos. And you know, he's not wrong. Kirby Smart was talking about this situation has gotten so ridiculous that there are players entering the transfer portal and then taking an official visit to the school where they already are. You've got to be kidding me. That is absolutely insane. Kirby goes on to say that what you've done is you've created a system that only allows you as a player to gain an advantage if you want to leave. Is that what we really want? Kirby goes on to say, what you've done is created a system that rewards what is absolutely the opposite of a team concept. It defies the whole characteristic of a team. And let's face it, guys, what we're seeing in the transfer portal is me. If I don't think I've gotten enough playing time, I'm going to hop and go somewhere else. If I don't like the way my coordinator or my coach has spoken to me, I'm going to go somewhere else. Hey, if somebody else will just offer me more money to play for that team, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go somewhere else. You know, a lot of parents, when they have their children starting to play in team sports, one of the reasons they want them to do this is because the lessons that we feel like they will learn about being part of something bigger than yourself, being part of a team and everything that that entails. Doesn't seem to be what we're doing in college football. And you know, the SEC is not immune to this. Wow, we have a lot of kids going in the transfer portal as well. At the top of that list, we have two schools that have new coaches coming in, so you can kind of understand that a little bit more. Auburn is topping the list, and these numbers are from earlier in the week. They change from day to day, but from earlier in this week, Auburn had 32 players in the portal. Florida had 30. Again, I can kind of see that because both teams are dealing with coaching changes and new coaches, and this is what's going to happen. But then you've got Tennessee, where you've got Josh Heupel with a team that's been strong the last several years. They had 23 players in the portal. Oklahoma, Britt Venables is going to be back. They got 23 players in the portal. South Carolina, Shane's still going to be back. 21 players in the portal. And shockingly, you've got Texas with 18 to 19, depending on the day, players that are in the portal. Wow. And you know, at Texas, there's one of the weirdest situations where their star wide receiver, Parker Livingston, is in the portal. People were surprised, and he came out and said, hey, I really didn't have a choice. This wasn't up to me. And I never thought that at this point in my playing career, I was going to have to be searching for a new home outside of the University of Texas. Sure makes it sound like he was kind of pushed out. And you know, the same thing happened to DJ Lagway. Somehow John Sumrall came in and decided that one of the top prospects for quarterback in the United States with DJ Lagway, boy, they didn't need him at Florida anymore. They're going to get somebody else, and poof, DJ Lagway is out the door. It's just a different thing than we're used to seeing, right? So with all the NIL and transfer portal things, earlier this year, Kip and I were talking about how crazy are schools? You ought to be signing these players to contracts. Because in the NFL, players make a lot of money, but they're signed to a contract. They can't just decide they don't like the way the coach spoke to them and leave and go somewhere else. Well, that's been tried. As far as university institutions that are writing these contracts, not necessarily working out so well. So the University of Georgia had a defensive end. I always say his name wrong, Damon Wilson. And he played 2 years at the University of Georgia with what was at the time a pretty lucrative NIL deal and the Georgia NIL Collective. And then later, when the school took it over, the school had him signed to a contract that had penalties in that contract if you left. He leaves, transfers to Missouri. Georgia tries to enforce the contract, has to sue the kid to try to get the money that's in the contract. He is now countersued. And do you know what his point is? Well, that was a non-enforceable contract. Help me understand. What's the point of a contract if it's not enforceable? Apparently, the University of Washington thinks the contracts are enforceable because they have a player who, let's see, Damone, I say his name wrong all the time, Damone Williams Jr. who signed with them on January 2nd. 3 days later, he's in the transfer portal. And guess what? The University of Washington is saying, we're not going to release him. University of Washington, good luck with that. May the force be with you. I hope you're able to enforce that contract, but it sure is looking dicey right now. So the tables have really turned. Before the transfer portal and NIL, it was the poor players who had no power in the system. Coaches could leave, everything could change, but the players couldn't leave. They were stuck where they were, making lots of money for the universities, but they weren't able to be getting any of the fruits of their labors. That's a totally different situation that we have going on now, to the point that Texas Tech has signed a transfer quarterback that a lot of us are saying, is he even really that good? For $5 million this year. That is a different situation. And you know what I worry about here? People have talked about, are you just turning college football into the NFL light? I look at why a lot of us who are fans of college football have loved it for so long. We haven't loved it because the play was better than the play in the NFL, or even that the play was at the same level as the play in the NFL. We love college football for the pageantry, and a lot of us as fans love it for the affiliation that we have with our team. Affiliation that for a lot of us in the South goes back generations and generations. It means something to us. So turning college football into the NFL light, that's a no-go for me. Having a bunch of mercenaries running around on the field, that's not what I signed up for as a college football fan. I hope that we can get it back together because I love college football so much and I want it to somehow resemble what we've all thought of as college football. And now over to the rest of the team at the starting lineup.
Some amazing commentary there from the First Lady of Sports.
Yes.
Commentary right here on the starting lineup. And, of course, it all starts with that transfer portal that just opened up on January 2nd. We'll go through to the 16th. There's a reason why that portal is where it needs to be. Had an interesting talk with Mark Ingram, who, of course, the athletic director for the UAB Blazers. Excellent. And that's one of those things where they're going to have to change the portal. We'll start with that. What do you think about some of the things she had to say about the changes in college football?
Well, I mean, to the First Lady's point, we are now up to over 3,800 players in the transfer portal in the first 3 or 4 days, and they've got several more weeks, so we don't even know how much more it's going to expand. I don't know. I haven't done the math on the percentage of players that is.
That is roughly 1 in 4 players.
That is
about 27% of all college football players.
That's unbelievable.
But you're talking about Jay Lamar, who of course was one of the running backs for Oregon, steps out a couple days before playing for a national title. Are you kidding me? 6 Ohio State players stepped out right after they lost to Miami. You've, of course, got the Desmond Williams situation with Washington. He just signed a contract with the Washington Huskies, and then 2 days later, joined the transfer portal, and Washington's like, whoa, you signed it. I mean, he signed a deal with them, and so they're suing him. They're going after him for it.
It's unbelievable. Legend, even the SEC is not immune. Auburn has almost 40 guys in the transfer portal already, followed closely by some other big-name schools like Florida. Alabama's not immune. Georgia's got a few. But the bottom line, Tennessee, this is all across the board. It is total disarray. And one of the things that Terry said that is something that I think all of us are having a tough time coming to grips with, the world of college football has completely changed.
Yeah, now you have to build your team as a NFL team. All college teams have GMs. And they have to go out and recruit for their teams just like they do in the NFL on the free agent market. The teams you see in the Final Four, Indiana, you see that team, Ole Miss. Those are two teams that was built primarily through the transfer portal. If a coach don't win in the transfer portal today, he will not win on the field in the SEC next year. Get busy, Greg Byrne. Get busy, Coach DeBoer. You've already done a good job so far, but finish. We need 20 to 25 players out of that portal, even to compete next year, Kip, on a national level.
I don't think the number of players who are transferring is as surprising as the amount of money that is being out there. And you ask any athletic director, they're all like, no, we thought maybe 1 in 4 players, because a lot of these guys now are committing to schools thinking to themselves, it's like going out with a woman on a blind date. If she's not good looking, you can drop the tab and walk out the door, right? If you're not having a good time or wherever you're playing with, you kind of go into a situation knowing that if it doesn't work, you can go somewhere else. You have some backup teams. But the amount of money that's being spent on these kids to play at these schools is the part that's really kind of blowing away a lot of these athletic departments. Let's remember, last year only 8 departments made money. 8 athletic departments in college football made money. Now, they made a lot of revenue, but when you got down to the bottom line, only 8 were in the black. And so a lot of these ADs are going, wait a minute. You know, where's our boosters? Where's our alum? Where's all this money coming from? So the fact there is that kind of money out there, including like 25 grand a piece for Texas Tech linebackers, every one of them got 25 grand a piece to start the season. Even if they didn't take a snap, they got 25 grand. It's pretty amazing.
It's incredible. And unlike, everybody keeps saying it's the pro model. Well, it's not the pro model because you don't have total freedom of player movement in professional sports.
No, and until you get a clearinghouse, in which they do for the NIL, which is a totally different thing. The NIL is totally different than paying for players. They have a clearinghouse now where if you go in the NIL, someone wants to give you $50,000, they know you're not going to play. You're probably not going to make that 50 grand. They're not going to allow that to happen. There's been a lot of those clearinghouses that have been pushed aside. But as far as the actual money goes, the $20.5 million, the cap, and no one's keeping an eye on that as well. To me, there's got to be some teams that are spending more than $20.5 million. No wonder Diego Pavia wants to come back. He's making $4 million a year.
No kidding.
He'll be making more, with Vanderbilt than he'd be making in any pro thing. And now that Ty Simpson's leaving, it makes you wonder for a cat like Ty Simpson to be going to the National Football League. I guarantee you that if Nick Saban is the head coach of Alabama, Ty Simpson's got his ass sitting in Alabama next year. He is not going into pros because Nick Saban was always like, if you're top 5, top 6, fine. But if you're bottom first round, you know what your money is. He could probably make more in Alabama.
Legend, you got to have thoughts on Ty Simpson.
Well, Ty Simpson made a mistake to me because of what Tony said. Next year's NFL draft is one of the weakest in history because players are choosing to stay in college now because they can make more money in college than they can pro.
That's
if
crazy.
You ain't a first-round draft pick in the NFL, you have no guaranteed money whatsoever. If I would have Ty Simpson, I would have went to Oregon, got me $4 or $5 million, and went into the draft next year. He's going into the draft this year because it's a weak draft. He's predicted to be the 3rd quarterback taken, and it is a possibility considering how stupid some NFL GMs are that they will draft him in the 1st round.
And you know this as well as I do, both of you. You want to strike with the irons hot. Look at the last 2 games Ty Simpson had in his college career. I mean, is that something you want to sell on?
Is that a franchise quarterback in the NFL?
I have two words to the Ty Simpson question. Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Remember Jake Fromm? He passed up his last year eligibility for the NFL draft. I don't think he ever took a snap in the NFL. He hung around on a couple teams. I think Ty Simpson is the current version of Jake Fromm. A guy who had great success. Now, Jake Fromm actually played for a national championship. Ty Simpson doesn't have that on his resume.
I will say this. I've seen 45-year-old Phillip Rivers look good in the NFL game.
That's unbelievable.
The NFL now is basically 7-on-7. You can't touch his head. You can't touch a quarterback's knees. You can't fall on him heavy. So the NFL on their 7-on-7 league right now, Tony, might be a good place for Ty Simpson.
I think they're talking, mid-second round for him right now. It's just amazing how you can go from mid-5th round, 6th round, have a couple good games in the college game, and next thing you move to 2nd or 3rd round. I do want to ask you guys, too, since we're talking about all the crazy things happening in college football, why do you think Charlie Weiss and Kevin Smith are getting an opportunity to actually coach? Why do you think they got a chance to coach that Ole Miss game the last couple of days when Lane Kiffin didn't?
Well, that's a different story because Lane Kiffin, it was one thing, but taking all the offensive assistance away from Ole Miss was really an extra blow to them because he left nobody intact that has any offensive play calling expertise. So I don't know how that negotiation went down, but I have to think those coaches said, look, we want to come to LSU with you. We want to build something there, but I think Charlie Weiss Jr. and the other 4 coaches involved, I think they had to have expressed to Kiffin, this is unfinished business for us. Maybe I understand why you're out, but it's because the way that was framed, Kiffin is allowing them to come back and coach. So
well, I'm surprised Ole Miss allowed them to coach because
but
obviously
Ole Miss had no choice because you couldn't get anybody in a week to coordinate your offense. Who are you going to get? A high school coach?
It's true. And for sake of those kids, I'm glad they actually gave them an opportunity to coach those kids up because most kids will tell you they're probably closer to their assistant coaches than they are their head coaches.
Oh, definitely. They have more day-to-day contact with them for sure.
Yeah.
And let me say this, Tony. This is a prime example of the leadership of college football, dropping the ball and making a complete mess of things. The transfer portal should be after the season is completely over. It's the only sport in the whole world where you have off-season changes happening during your playoffs.
Yeah.
The leadership of college football has completely dropped the ball, and fans everywhere are mocking them and have no faith in them whatsoever.
Mark Ingram was talking about just that. He's like, it's got to start obviously January 2nd. What we mentioned, the kid from Oregon who left 2 days before they played the playoff game, which is like, that's unbelievable. He's transferring. He must have gotten some big time bucks to leave the Ducks, and he's got that to play against. But Mark said, listen, we're going to get to a point where we probably won't have spring practice anymore. We'll probably do weights. We'll probably do training. We'll do everything else. You can have quarterbacks playing with wide receivers, stuff like that. But as far as an actual spring training, it's not going to be like that. We'll end up having just one signing period. We'll move back that transfer portal. But again, who's going to induct these ideas into the game? We still have a lot of different things that need to be open first.
Yeah. What other sport starts their next season before this season is over with? That's not how it works. You can easily fix the calendar because that's a big problem with all these coaching transitions and all these things you mentioned. You can easily fix it. You're already playing the next to last weekend of August on stupid week 0, which is the creation for TVs to have some games. Why doesn't everybody start that week?
No doubt.
And you don't need 2 byes in a 12-game college football schedule. Give everybody 1 bye. That saves you 2 weeks. You could start the playoffs Thanksgiving weekend and play the playoffs through December and be done by the 1st of January.
By teams 1 and 7. Maybe we shouldn't have any buys at all, for gosh sakes. I'm not sure if I want to buy. Everyone's saying now they don't want to play, but you ask a coach, coaches will say we love to have the buy.
It's a fascinating subject.
We love to have the buy.
And like Terry said, all of us have to, and this is the hard thing. She talked about, and I want to get your guys' reaction to this in the little bit of time we have left. She says, I understand it's going in a pro direction. I understand TV's calling a lot of the shots. But if college football loses its traditions and its pageantry and becomes NFL light on Saturdays, she goes, I didn't sign up for that. I'm not interested in that. How do you guys feel?
I think it's only going to lose that if the fans allow it to go that way. And as long as we've got alum, we got people that went to college at Alabama or Auburn, UAB or whatever, and they're watching their football teams, I think they're going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, the lore of the college game legend, does it lose something if it becomes the NFL?
We knew they were getting paid anyway. Hell, they were getting handshakes back in the 80s.
Oh, for sure.
And hubcaps.
Yeah, they're wrapping us up, so maybe we can continue it in the legend.
Yeah, coming up next Saturday from 10:30, 11 o'clock right here on ABC 3340, we got our matchup, man. It's going to be just a great, too, to have a couple of teams that we're not normally seeing in a national titleship game. So it's going to be fantastic.
A complete preview
next Saturday right here on the starting lineup.
Welcome back to another edition of the Vegas Heaters. I'm Case Keefer, longtime sports bettor, sports betting writer, and sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. One of the best football weekends of the year right in front of us a couple hours from now with the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. Now, when this was introduced a few years ago, I wasn't the biggest fan. I thought the 12-team format, 6 in each conferences, was perfect. I got to say, I still don't love that the 1 seeds get such a huge advantage. The only teams with a bye having to play 1 less game instead of 2 byes. That being said, hint, hint, I think both Seattle and Denver might be undervalued in the futures market going in to this year. I think people don't want to trust Sam Darnold and Bo Nix, but that might be a story for another time. I thought for now, since we have these 6 games coming up, and even though I might not have liked the idea at the beginning, I'm certainly betting all of them. I'm betting them in every angle I can. At the time of recording, I've really dug into the main markets, of course, the spread and the total. So let's get into all 6 games, just run through them, tear through them. I will urge you to check out my column on LasVegasSun.com if you want more. I believe something like 30 games over 500 this year, a real banner year in the NFL. We've had some good ones. This one has been as good as ever. But let's start with the first game that is going to kick off. shortly after this. Rams, Panthers, not much to say about this one. 10.5-point spread, and a lot of people look at that spread and say, I'm not laying that many points in the playoffs. I say go ahead and do it. I think the Rams totally crush the Panthers. Yes, I know they lost in Carolina just, 6 weeks ago or so, but that game was so misleading. Matthew Stafford, 3 interceptions. I don't think that's going to happen again. They really beat them pretty good. If you go play-by-play from an efficiency standpoint, I think Rams get it done. I also am leaning the over here, over 46. I know there's some weather concerns, but I don't think water's really going to matter. A little bit of rain's going to matter to this Rams side. Getting Devontae Adams back, I think they'll be high-flying. Give me the Rams minus 10.5. And going into the next game, Chicago versus Green Bay, Part 3, the third time these teams have played. Chicago, scary. It's going to be bad weather, so I also like the under here, but I'm going to go with Green Bay. Pick them under 46.5 right now. I got a little bit better number than that, but that's the best right now. It's still good. Don't go below like 45, so Green Bay in that one. Switching over to Sunday, starting with Jacksonville at Buffalo. This game terrifies me. Jacksonville versus Buffalo, because I love the Jaguars. I think it's all set up for them to make a run here. I just think Jacksonville has the edge in so many other areas. Their defensive metrics have been sterling this year. They're able to get a lot of pressure just with their front four. I have to go with Jacksonville here, but I'm always going to be a little bit worried that Josh Allen's going to put on that cape, have a Superman performance. It is possible, but I'm going to go with Jacksonville at the pick-em +1. I also kind of like the under 52.5, as high as that. That brings us to San Francisco, Philadelphia. This one is tough. I do think it is too high right now. San Francisco +4.5, but that comes with a caveat. Make sure Trent Williams is playing. You saw how bad this offense looked against Seattle with the division on the line without Williams, and that's really been a common theme. I just think San Francisco's offense clicks well enough when he's in that they should cover this game. So give me San Francisco +5.5. Kind of like the over here. I know that maybe there's some weather concerns, but as low as 44.5. Again, I love the San Francisco offense, so I would probably lean over. That brings us tonight. If you've read any of my stuff all year or listened to me on here, you probably know where I'm going with this one. New England hosting the Chargers, and man, I already said I had a great year. It'd be an even better year if I could figure out this Chargers team. I'd bet against them all the time. They still end up winning. However, I'm going back to the well today. I just don't see how this number could be less than 5. I like the Patriots in this one. Also, a slight lean to the under. However, I really want that 47. I just missed it. I was literally going to bet it earlier, and the number moved on me. I'm going to wait and see if it gets back to 47. Slightly into the under and Patriots. We are going to Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. This one should be fun. I still don't know about Monday Night Football in a playoff stage as well. But either way, this game probably low scoring. I bet the under 39.5. However, I've had second thoughts once I have dug more into the game between Pittsburgh and Houston. Just I feel like Houston's defense is getting a lot of love, and they're kind of trending the wrong way. In the last 4 weeks, the last month, they are allowing 5.5 yards per play. They rank below almost, I think, 20th of the league. And it's not like they've played a killer schedule. They've played the Raiders, who are absolutely terrible, the Cardinals, who are absolutely terrible, though I know they were okay on offense, the Riley Leonard-led Colts. If you just really dig under the hood, there's some concerns with this Texans team. I know the Steelers lose in the first round of the playoffs every year, but go back and look at those last 5 losses they have in the first round. They've been a touchdown or bigger underdog in 4 of those 5 games. I think they get it done here. They get DK Metcalf back. Give me Pittsburgh. I'm waiting to see if it gets back to +3.5 over. In the meantime, I bet Pittsburgh +150 money line. Those are the Vegas Heaters and the rundown for all of Super Wildcard Weekend. Thanks for checking out another edition of the Vegas Heaters.
Hey, welcome to the Legend Cave. I'm sitting here with most famous men in Birmingham, Alabama, Tony Curry and Keefer. We come to you every Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11. Tune in. Tell your neighbors, tell your mama, tell everybody, baby. We're kicking it real right here in the Legend Cave and on the starting lineup. Hey, we're continuing the conversation that we've been having all day. The First Lady spit out some facts today, and we've been breaking them up and eating them. Bear said he's in the conversation too. Bear don't like the NIL, but hey, let's continue on with it.
They didn't have scholarship limitations when Bear was coaching. He didn't care. He could sign everybody up. It's funny how things come. And now you can do that again. It's funny how things come.
Let's be real. Bear might have been passing out more money than they're giving out today.
Good possibility.
Hey, Bear said he ain't with all this NIL. He don't know anything y'all talk about. We love you back there, Bear. We love you. But hey, continuing on the conversation in the crazy state of college football, Tony, if you was the man in charge today and had one thing that needed to be done today, what would it be, brother?
You're talking about with
college football. What would it be?
If you're world's czar.
If you was a commissioner.
The first thing I'd do is I'd find me a commissioner. I'd find somebody, and I think we all know who that's going to be or who it should be, and let Nick Saban start doing the job. I mean, he can still do his ESPN thing on the side or whatever, but we need to find somebody, a de facto guy that we can look at and say, okay, where are we going next? Because right now, nobody knows what's going on. We got lawsuits all over the place. Now we got schools suing players because they're making deals. My big thing, too, is that I'm the same way about my girls, about my women. If you don't want me, I don't want to be with you. And so if you got players saying, listen, I don't want to be part of this football team and they want to transfer, then go on. Because if you're Alabama, you shouldn't have to sit there and pin up and be pulled down and make sure that you are going to make everyone happy. You're Alabama, for God's sakes. You're Auburn, you're UAB, whoever you are. If you want to come play here, fine. If you don't, go on your way. Be on your way.
Now, Kip, I'm hearing that the leadership in college football is afraid to make any changes because they're afraid of legal action. What kind of bullcrap are we living in, Kip? How long before the whole house of cards fall down and these colleges say, hey, we just can't pay the bills no more, man. Y'all do what y'all want to do.
It's a very viable point. That's why you've got all these jokers, all the commissioners, all the NCAA people. Charlie Baker is in charge of the NCAA because of his political background. They're up there on their hands and knees begging Congress to give them antitrust legislation, which basically means that nobody can sue them on the basis that they're all colluding to prevent the progress of these guys economically. That's not going to happen. It's too controversial. They're just barking up a tree that's never going to yield any fruit. So the whole answer to your question is, it is a new era. They've got to find ways to manage it. And it starts with the same thing I mentioned in the previous discussion we had. You've got to get guys under contract, and those contracts have to be binding. There's no way to challenge those legally. If you put your name on that document and says, I'm going to provide 2 years to this school for this amount of money, you can't decide, well, I shouldn't be playing every down. I'm transferring. There's no league that has freedom of movement for players. That's where the whole thing is, the ball's been.
And I'll call out Greg Sankey. One of the major problems we have here is the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten are running this show, they're running this circus, because right now it's them and everyone else. The institutions in college football were the ones that created the NCAA. If they don't like the NCAA, no one likes going to the principal's office because you normally get in trouble. No one likes the NCAA because they're the ones that discipline. But I tell you what, if you want the NCAA to be the NCAA and actually be that commission, they can make that happen. But it's going to have to start with the SEC and the Big Ten. And now that they have total autonomy, it's all them and everyone else. And it's messing up the sport. I'm telling you, it's messing up the sport. I know they want total control, but it's screwing everyone else over.
Tony makes a great point. Greg Sankey opened this box.
He did.
When he started the super conferences, Kip. He opened this box, and now it's a mess. I hear the coaches made the decision on the transfer portal. What are you doing, Sankey? What are you all big commissioners get together and make some rules to make this some sense to us? Kip, does it make sense to you, brother?
It makes no sense. It's the wild, wild west on steroids. It's just wide open, and it needs to be reformed. We do have playoffs going on this weekend.
Yes.
The NFL. Tony, who's got your attention there?
Man, I've got some great games. You obviously got the Chargers, the New England game. I think is going to be Rams, Panthers, Green Bay, Chicago. We're going to see them again. One game I think is going to be fantastic. San Francisco, the Eagles. Of course, you're defending champion. I'm loving me some San Francisco. I think as long as McCaffrey stays healthy, and I love Brock, the quarterback, San Francisco is going to be my Super Bowl winner this year.
Kip, quick, we got to go. Who's your Super Bowl winner?
Gosh, I don't know. I think the Houston Texans are on a heater. I'm going to go out in left field and take C.J. Stroud and the Texans.
Nice.
Man, I'm going to take them Jacksonville Jaguars. I know I'm crazy. But hey, remember it's just a game. Don't be like the starting lineup every Saturday on your TV at 10:30. Plum Sports Insane.
Next Saturday, complete preview of the national championship game. Don't miss it.